Hey guys, what is going on? This video is your BlackBox beginner's guide. So this video is going to take you through everything that you need to know to get up and running with BlackBox. If you want to know what you need to shoot for stock footage, I have another video all about that. I take you through the basics of what stock footage is and what you need to shoot in terms of resolution, frame rates, all that good stuff. I'll put a link in the description below so you can go check out that video. This video starts where that video takes off. So now you have your footage. What do you edit? How do you upload it? And how does BlackBox just work in general? When you look at the back end of BlackBox, it's a little bit intimidating, but honestly, it is a very easy piece of software to use. And once we go through it, everything will make complete sense. If you want to skip ahead to any parts of this video, I put a table of contents down below so you can check it out. We're gonna first go into the back end of BlackBox, show you what all the buttons are, what everything does, what you need to know about BlackBox. Then we're gonna go into how you edit for stock footage. Then we're gonna go into how you upload using an FTP, which is a very important topic. And then from there, the next section will be about how you edit the metadata and submit your footage so it's ready to sell. The last section will go into how you share the footage with other people, because that's one of the cool things about BlackBox is that you have the ability to share the work. You could shoot, you could have someone else edit, or you could shoot and edit and just have someone else do the metadata. There are some really cool ways you can work with this software to make it easier to upload stock footage and to be successful with selling stock footage, because one of the hardest things in stock is just dealing with the whole upload process. And once you figure it out with BlackBox, you have to do it once and then you're done. You don't have to worry about it ever again. You just upload the footage. They take care of the rest by putting it on all the different stock agencies. If you haven't signed up with BlackBox yet, I'll put a link in the description below. Make sure you're signed up, make sure that your account is active, you've changed your password, and you are ready to get going. Now let's get into the first section. Let's edit some stock footage and get up to speed with BlackBox so that you could just start shooting, editing, uploading, and keep moving forward so that you can start seeing some sales come in. So this is an overview of the dashboard in BlackBox. At first, it might seem a little intimidating, but it's actually really easy to use. So let's just go over everything that you're gonna see in the dashboard. So the things you need to pay attention to on this first page, my dashboard, is your revenue to date. So this is just going to show you how much money you've made and how much money you've made this month. You can also see your referral revenue right underneath that. Okay, the other thing that you need to look at on this page is outstanding collaborative invitations. So this is if you're collaborating with someone and they invite you, you'll see that here. And then referral members, that's if you refer someone to BlackBox, you get a little kickback. So you can see how many members here that you've referred. And then how it works is you get 1% of all their sales if you referred someone. Also on this page, you're gonna see some keywords that are recently submitted by members. That's just scrolling. And you see the most recent 12 shots that have been submitted. And you can go through and play these if you want. So you can see what other members are submitting right now. Okay, so this is just like a quick overview. Really, you just see how much money you've made, and then you can move on to My BlackBox. And that's where you're gonna see all your footage. So click on My BlackBox, and you're gonna see 4 tabs here: Contribute, Content, Collaborate, and Marketplace. The ones that you need to worry about are these first 3: Contribute, Content, and Collaborate. When you upload footage using the FTP, so the FTP is the best way to upload footage. There is no online uploader anymore, so don't even worry about it. You just need to upload your footage using an FTP like FileZilla. And we'll go over how to use that in a little bit. So once you upload footage, it's going to appear here where it says no file. You're gonna see your footage. And from here is where you're gonna do all your keywording and your metadata, and you're gonna submit it. So once your footage is finished and you hit submit, it's gonna go over to your content tab. So on your content tab, you'll see every piece of footage that you've submitted, and you can sort it here by pending, ready, and online. So online is the footage that is on stock footage agencies and being sold right now. If it says ready, then basically when your footage is ready, it means that you have done everything you need to do, and now it's just waiting for the approval of the stock footage agencies. And it could take a while for this to go from ready to online. So that's where you're gonna see all your footage that you're finished with. So the next tab is Collaborate. And this is where you can work with other people on BlackBox. It's one of the coolest features, I think, about the platform. So you can create a project, and when you create a project, you basically come up with a set of information, and you can attach a curator to basically edit and upload the footage for you. So when you make a project in BlackBox, basically you make your project here, you select your curator, and then hit submit. On the other end, the person is going to accept the project and they're going to do all the work, upload it. And when they upload footage and add the keywords, it's going to show up in your Contribute tab. And what you have to do is review it and hit submit. So that's all you really need to worry about in the My Footage tab. Contribute is where pending footage is going to show up, stuff that hasn't been submitted yet to BlackBox. Content is where your footage that you have submitted is going to sit, whether it's online or not, with the stock agencies. And Collaborate is where your projects are when you're collaborating with an individual. When you go over to My Earnings tab, this is where you're going to see when you've sold an item. It's going to show a thumbnail, the name, and how much you've made. And you can sort this by date. You could also see total earnings report. You could see total number of downloads per a clip. Payment history. This is going to be your payment history of how many times you've been paid out and how much you were paid out. And then your annual summary of how much you made to date in this year. The next tab is tools. So tools is going to have your usage guide. You're going to have information here on how to use the site. You're also going to have your forms and templates. So if you need some forms, this is where they'll be. There's some model releases and there's some Excel files here that will help you with curating your footage. Okay, the last tab here is your logged in. So this is going to be your account settings. So just make sure you go in here and make sure your account's up to date. All your information is set up. This is also where you'll put your PayPal information, your social media settings, so you can add in your social media accounts, your agreement with BlackBox. So if you ever need to check that, that's where it's at. And you change your password and log out. All right, and then you can also add a little avatar up here in the corner, and that's done through your account settings. So that is it for the BlackBox dashboard. It's super easy to use. You really only go in here to see how much you've made, and when you're working on footage, you go into My BlackBox, My Stock Footage, and you use these 3 tabs. And other than that, there are some tools to keep you up to date, some forms, but otherwise it's a very easy back end. And once you start uploading footage, you'll see how quickly it is to go through all this and just see the things that you need to see. All right, so I am in Final Cut X, and I have 2 shots that I'm going to focus on for this video. One is a drone shot, and the other is just a shot I did with my GH5 from the ship. But I wanted to show you different ways that you can edit and how you go around cutting down your footage for stock. So we'll start with this clip. I shot this in 60 frames a second, 4K, because one of the things that you always want to do is shoot in 4K. So in the GH5, you have the ability to shoot and it automatically makes a slow motion clip for you. So this is half speed. So what I want to do for this is find a good chunk of the clip that is consistent from beginning to end. This clip, when you play it back from beginning to end, it's just a slow motion shot of a ship in Halong Bay. What I'm going to do now is do a little color grading because it doesn't pop. And that's one of the key things with stock footage is you want to make it pop. And what that means is that you're giving it a look, but you're not overdoing it so that it can be used for the most amount of situations. And you can obviously dive into color grading a lot more, but if you just want to give it a little life, maybe it's just adding some saturation, playing around with your exposure, bringing the sky up or down. If you want to make it more user-friendly for anybody for their footage so that it just looks good overall. It was a foggy day. The sky doesn't look the best in this shot, but it is what it is. It's kind of the nature of Halong Bay. Okay, so now I have one shot, I've graded it. Now when you're dealing with slow motion footage, there's something else that you need to think about. And that is, do you want to upload the slow-mo clip or do you want to upload the real-time clip? Well, the beauty of stock footage is that you upload both. So you upload this as slow-mo, so this is the slow-mo version. And then what I would do is make another clip, and I'm going to upload both. I'm going to upload one in real time and one in slow-mo. And what that does is it gives the buyers 2 different types of shots to buy. Some people might just want this real-time shot, whereas others need the slow-mo shot. So you're opening yourself up to getting more content for the buyers. And now let's move on to the drone shot. So this, I was just recording as I flew everywhere in Halong Bay. And you can see the shot goes different angles. So what you would do out of this is you would chop this into a bunch of different shots. I'm going to just pull one out of it at first. So I'm going to watch the clip through and I'm going to look for a smooth movement. So let's start here and let's see, we're going to play this through and we're going to watch to see how long this shot lasts. If it's 5 seconds or more, then it can be sold as stock. So right there, you see how the camera started moving. We want to cut right before the camera starts moving. So it's a single thought. So right now that's at 7 seconds, which you can sell a 7-second shot. So if you look at it, it's a nice dolly shot from left to right in the sky of Halong Bay and it's 7 seconds. Perfect. If your shot is between 5 and 59 seconds, you can sell it as stock. So now that I have this single shot, I'm gonna do a quick color grade, make it pop, add some saturation because I was shooting in Cine D. I'm gonna play with the contrast. I don't want things to blow out too much because then it's not as sellable. You want to save the highlights as much as possible, but just make it pop. And I'm doing just a quick color grade. You can really dive into some deeper color grading or use the LUT because you want your footage to pop. But like I said, you don't want a crazy look where it's way too saturated or way too pushed in like the oranges or something like that. Now I have my shot that I'm ready to upload. As you can see, there's more color, there's more contrast. If I take off the quick color grade I did, you can see it's a flatter image. The idea is that you want it to pop. You want it to catch someone's eye, but you don't want to overdo it. So what would I do with the rest of the footage? Well, now if you look back at the original shot, I have all this other footage from different parts from my flight around Halong Bay. So I'm gonna keep doing what I did with this 7-second shot and keep trimming this big clip into chunks that work. So you want a complete camera movement. You don't want anything in there that's jarring. So let me show you an example of what would be jarring. If you started the shot here, then you're good until that. And that is a jarring move. As soon as you have a jarring move in a stock footage shot, it's gonna open yourself up to getting rejected. You wanna have smooth, fluid, cinematic shots. So now, out of these 2 shots, I have 3 shots because the slow motion I made into 2 shots. These are all ready to upload to BlackBox. What I'm gonna do from here is I'm gonna export them. So I have this set up where I want to export as a QuickTime movie in the full resolution, so I shot them in 4K. I'm going to export them in 4K. If you wanted to, you could do H.264 or you could do Apple ProRes. Obviously, you're gonna hold more information if you use a ProRes file, like a ProRes HQ. And if your size is small enough, so this was a short shot, so I would upload the ProRes 422 HQ because it's a high quality QuickTime file. However, if you have a longer shot that is 4K and you're trying to upload 50 seconds of a 4K shot with QuickTime, you're gonna run into issues because you can only upload up to 4 gigs per shot. So if that happens, you don't have to upload a ProRes, you can upload it H.264 and it's gonna be significantly smaller. So once you export it, you have your QuickTime file. This is ready to be uploaded and to be sold as stock. Okay, so now we have the finished files that we exported from Final Cut. One thing to note is I changed the names of the file, and I name my files based on the date that I shot the footage. That way I can easily go back to the raw footage if I need to go over anything or if I need to find specific shots or do anything like that. It's a very just easy way for me to figure things out. So I've labeled these on the date that I shot it plus just 1, 2, 3, and that's what I'll continue to do through all the footage that I've shot on that day. Now you can come up with your own naming convention, but just keep in mind you want unique names for every shot that you put out. That way, if you're ever searching for something, you never have duplicates. We're gonna upload to BlackBox using an FTP, and the software that I recommend is FileZilla. Now at first, it may seem a little daunting when you look at this software, but it's actually really easy to use. So the only thing that you need to know to get into your backend for BlackBox is the host, username, and password, and those are right up here. The host will always be the same. It's portal.blackbox.global. For your username, it's going to be just your username on BlackBox, which is your email. And then your password is your password on BlackBox. So once you have all 3 of those filled in, hit Quick Connect and just wait for this to pop up. You'll see under file name, there'll be a ... and a stock footage folder. What you're going to want to go into is your stock footage folder, and this is where you drop in your stock footage. So let's pull up our clips. What I'm going to do is just drag these 3 shots into this folder, and you're going to see down at the bottom your clips are going to be uploading. And just depending on how much footage you have, how big the clips are, it's going to take a little bit of time to upload all your footage. So you just let this run, keep this window open, and let your footage completely upload. Once everything has finished uploading, you can go into successful transfers and you'll see your transfers, and if anything failed, they'll be right here in failed transfers. Now this other folder is for collaborative projects content only. And what this is a folder where you're going to find the projects where you're collaborating with other individuals. So if you're editing and doing all the metadata and all that, you'll go in here and upload the footage so that BlackBox knows that this footage actually belongs to another individual, but you were the curator on it. So that's where you'll go when you're dropping footage as a curator. That's it. Once we're finished uploading, we're going to go into BlackBox and we're going to start doing all of our metadata. Okay, so now that you've uploaded your footage using the FTP, you're going to find the clips that you uploaded under My BlackBox Contribute tab. So once you go here, you'll see all the footage that you've uploaded. And so we're going to go through and do it as if you were doing your own metadata. I'm going to show you both ways to do it. One is manual entry and the other is by uploading a CSV file. The first thing that we're going to do is just find the shot we're going to work on. And I'm going to use this one. This is a shot from New Zealand. Rachel is taking a photo with her phone. She's looking over a pretty view. So what I'm going to do is go over to the edit. When you click edit, it's going to pop up with your metadata editor. So the first thing is your batch name. If you're using batches, this is where you'll see which batch this is part of. Underneath that is your footage name. That is your file name that you uploaded. And this is something that you cannot change. So if your file name is important to you and you want to organize a certain way, make sure you do it before you upload. The next is editorial. So if this shot is footage with logos or with people's faces that you can't license or you don't have a release for, you're going to check this box. And it's going to ask for more information, such as the city, state, country, and this is information you need to enter if it's an editorial shot. You also have a box for an editorial caption. This shot is not editorial, it's royalty free, so I'm going to not check that box. Under description, you want to make your title or your description of what this footage is. So for this, I'll call it Hiker Girl Taking Photo on Top of a Mountain in New Zealand. So you want to come up with a description that basically describes what you're seeing in the shot. And then keywords, your max is 49 keywords and you want to separate them by a comma. So I came up with a batch of keywords. I'm going to drop them in here. Just everything that you can think of about this shot is what you'll put in the keywords. So I basically came up with a bunch of different ways to describe this shot. And it just gives you more options for someone to find your footage when they're looking for something specific. But you definitely want to have stuff that describes the shot. You don't want to put things in here that don't describe it. So the next section is upload a model release. For this, you would go into your attached documents, you would browse, and you would find the model release and upload it. And when it uploads, you're going to see it down here. So I have my file ready for Rachel. I uploaded it, and I am going to select this, and we're going to save. You also have the options for property release here as well. If you have multiple people, you can select multiple releases. This one just has Rachel on it, so I'm going to save that. And what it's going to do is add Rachel's document right here. Underneath that's your category. So I'm going to add a category. I'm going to put travel, whatever works here. And then underneath that is your sharers. So if I was working with someone on this clip, say Rachel has an account as well, and I wanted to give her a percentage of the sale, what I could do is go in here, find the user on BlackBox, and give them a percentage. And what that will do will automatically split the revenue when you make a sale on that clip. So from here, you have everything filled out, you're ready to go. You could click submit, and what that will do is submit it, and it'll be ready to upload for the stock agencies. Or you can hit save, and what it's just gonna do is save everything that you've done. Now you'll see that there is a submit button here. So what you could do is do an entire batch, go through, and then submit them from this window, and you can submit all at once. So once you submit it, the file is now going to be in content for further processing. So that has been submitted. We go over to content. We find that shot, and you can see when you click on the thumbnail, there's the shot. And what will happen is that your status will be ready. So what ready means is that you've submitted it, but it's not been accepted by the stock agencies yet. This portion could take a few days, it could take a few weeks. There's no set time on when your footage will be ready to sell. But what happens is once it goes from ready to online, that means your footage is up on stock agencies and it's being sold as stock footage. So until it goes online, you're gonna have this ready status, and you're gonna also have the option to delete it if you wanna delete a specific video before it goes on to the stock agencies. So at this point, you're done, your footage is submitted, and that shot is ready to start making money. Now, if we go back to our Contribute tab, the other way to upload your data for each shot is to do it by a CSV file. A CSV file is basically a spreadsheet that has all your information for your stock footage clips. You can get the BlackBox template on the site just by going to the Contribute tab, click on the Upload CSV, and then there's a download template at the top of that pop-up. And what you can do with a CSV file is basically do all your shots at once in this spreadsheet, and then you upload it and it will auto add all the data to the shots on BlackBox. So in your CSV file, I'm using Excel, you have your description, your keywords, your category, your batch name if you're going to use a batch, and then the yellow here is all for editorials. All your information can be added just into this, and you're going to upload this. So what we'll do is those 3 shots that we originally worked on for Vietnam, I am going to do those right here in a CSV file instead of doing it in BlackBox. So the first thing you want to do is get your file names for all the shots. I have my 3 file names for the 3 shots that I have in BlackBox. What you're going to do is the same process, but you're just going to do it here on the spreadsheet. Add the description, keywords, category, etc. Okay, so now I have my descriptions, keywords, categories. I'm going to leave the batch name because I'm not using it for this, and these are not editorial shots. So this is done for these 3 shots. So what I'm going to do is save this at a .csv file and head back to BlackBox. Okay, so in BlackBox, you're going to want to go to your Contribute tab, hit the Upload CSV, and then what you'll do is just drop your CSV file here or find it by hitting the Browse button and finding the CSV file. Then you hit the Upload button. So it might take a few minutes depending on how many shots you have in your CSV, but what it will do is automatically populate all your clips with the metadata that you've entered in your CSV file. So from here, you can go through and check each shot individually by hitting the Edit button and seeing if all the information is correct. If everything looks good, you can just check the boxes for Submit, click Submit, and now all your files have been submitted to be uploaded to the stock agencies. So the last part of this tutorial is how you work with other people on BlackBox. And that is one of the best things about this software is that you can split up the work and everyone gets paid when you make a sale. So there's 3 ways that you can split the footage. The first, which is what I showed you earlier, was when you're doing the metadata, you can add a revenue share. If there's someone working on the footage, maybe it was a model in the shot, instead of paying them up front, you give them a percentage of the sale, you can add them right here. So that is the first way. The second way is to have someone else do the metadata for you. So you've edited your footage and you've uploaded it to BlackBox, but you don't want to do the keywording, descriptions, all that. You want someone else to do that. You want to work with someone else on that. So what you can do is then assign a curator. So I'm going to find the footage that I want someone else to be the curator on. I'm going to check the box and I'm going to assign a curator. So once you've assigned the curator, you find someone. I'm going to find a guy that I work with. So you start typing their name, their information will pop up here. You select them here on the right and you add the revenue split here. Typically, if someone is just doing metadata, they get 20% of the sale. If they're doing full curation, which means editing, uploading, and then doing metadata, they're gonna get 40% or more if you decide to give them more percentage, but 40 is the going rate. So then you'll hit save, and what will happen is that shot will now show that you have an ownership of 80%. On the other end, that person's gonna get notified that they have clips they can work on. And so that person will then go in, do everything that you need to do with the metadata, add all the stuff, and then he's gonna hit save on his end. And when he hits save on his end, you're gonna be able to look through this and see if there's anything that you wanna change. So I can go through, I can change the description, keywords, or whatever, but I have to submit the footage for sale. So if you're happy with what your curator did, you can click submit and submit the footage to be sold, and it's just like as if you submitted it. However, your curator is now going to get 20% of every sale that comes in off that shot. The third way to share footage and to work with someone is to have them do full curation. So you're going to go to the Collaborate tab, and what you're going to want to do is create a project. You'll create a project name. So let's go Vietnam, Halong Bay. Start date, we'll put start today. Location, you can add descriptions. You can attach any documents, details of the work that you're gonna do for this project. You're gonna assign a curator by doing the same thing. You search. I'm gonna find Joey again. I'm gonna give him 40% now because he's doing everything. He's now gonna be assigned here. You can add shares here. So if you wanna add 20% for maybe somebody that is a model, you can do that here. And then you can add more information about the project in the notes section. And now you're ready to hit submit. Now, once you hit submit, it's going to create a project. So once the project has been created, you can sit back, relax, and just wait for your curator to do all the work. And then the footage will show up under the Contribute tab once the curator has gone through, uploaded it, added the metadata, and submitted it to you. You have to submit it on your end as the shooter and owner of the footage. And you can edit the metadata if you need to as well. Now, when you're working with a curator, one thing to keep in mind is just creating a dialogue between you and the curator. So figuring out a way to get the footage to your curator. I always use Dropbox. That's the easiest way for me. You might have another method to get the footage to the person. Maybe you give them a hard drive, or you just upload using another service online. Also, I create a document with all the information about what it is that I shot. So if there's any questions, they can see the information about the shoot on there. And then if anything comes up, you can go into your Collaborate tab and you can message directly on here using the chat feature. And you can talk about the project right there. Or you can just find another way to chat with your curator. Maybe it's email, maybe it's just call them up on the phone, but there's different ways to get the information across. And that's it. That's how you share footage using BlackBox. All right, guys, I hope this tutorial was helpful to get you up and running with BlackBox. Like I said at the beginning, this is a very easy piece of software to use. You just have to understand what all the buttons are and where your footage goes after each step of the process. From here, just keep repeating, just go out there, shoot some footage, edit it, upload it, and you'll start seeing the sales coming in no time. And one last thing, if I didn't cover a specific topic or a specific thing that you have a question about with BlackBox, make sure you go check out the curation guide, the FAQ, and make sure you're part of the Facebook group, because if you have any questions, you can put it right there in the Facebook group and people will help you out. So I'll put links to all this content down below. Any question you have about BlackBox, I guarantee you'll find the answer in one of these guides. And if you can't, that's what the Facebook group is for. The biggest tip I have with stock footage is just to keep uploading. Don't upload 2 shots and think that you're gonna see a bunch of money coming in from those 2 shots. The whole idea with stock footage is that you're just consistently uploading. Every time you have a shoot or every time that you're in a situation where you find some cool things to shoot in stock footage, just keep it in the back of your mind, shoot a little extra footage, upload it as stock, and over time, your library will grow and you'll start seeing more and more sales come in. All right, guys, that is it for the video. If you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Outside of the stock footage, I've got a lot of awesome filmmaking tutorials and some cool travel vlogs from our adventures around the world. If you're interested in some cool filmmaking and cinematic techniques, I've got a lot of awesome videos on this channel that I think you'll love. So go down in the description, I'll put some playlists down there, some different videos that I think you guys will like. And if you have any questions at all, come find me on Instagram at Jeven Dovey. Shoot me a message and I'll be happy to help you with any of your stock footage questions. All right, guys, I will see you on the next one.